After a tumultuous 7 or 8 week patch, Collingwood have locked in a top 4 spot. Let's talk about it. That game was just something else entirely. We went into this game thinking or knowing we needed to win by at least 6 or 7 goals to give us enough of a percentage boost that if the Suns were to win both of their games against Port Adelaide and Essendon, we would still be locked into the top 4 if, the Suns didn't win by X amount. But after our win, about 20, 30 minutes after, the Suns game finished up and Port Adelaide did the unthinkable and beat them. So it locked in our top 4 spot, unless the Giants beat St Kilda by 160 points, which I cannot see happening at all. We're top 4 now. Now it's only, do we finish 3rd? Do we finish 4th? Are we going to Adelaide or are we staying at the MCG and playing the Cats? We won't know that until the Brisbane Hawthorn game on Sunday. But these Pies, we have lost Gold Coast, Fremantle and Adelaide as close games, all under a goal. And we finally win a close game. I think the last close game we won was the Melbourne game, I want to say. Just wild to think that we always have to do it the bloody hard way. But the defibs were out. The Pies won. We're locked in the top 4. God damn. When the game started, it felt like, to me anyway, there were 60,000 fans there. But it felt so flat and so empty, almost like both of those teams had nothing to play for and the season was done. Kind of like what happened last year when we played Melbourne in that last game and there was nothing really left to play for. It just felt really, really empty, which was really weird. In the week that we announced 112,000 members, we just seemed flat. And we've known for so long that the team feeds on our support. And for the first 3 and a bit quarters, the supporters were just flat as attack and the boys looked flat. And this game, it wasn't a high pressure game. Like, look at the tackles, 49 tackles for us, 40 tackles for Melbourne, comparing that to 80 plus tackles. I know it was a wet game last week against Adelaide. So it was more congested, more pressure. It was a bit more flowy today, I want to say. But Melbourne played incredibly. They played incredible. And I was saying, in my preview and stuff, that this was a dress rehearsal for them. And they wanted to wreck our season. And they nearly did. Credit to them. They nearly did. They got out to a few goal lead in that last quarter, going into that last quarter as well. And we had to kick 4 unanswered goals to win that game. But those first few quarters, especially that third quarter, the Pies just looked shot of confidence, playing that boring football that has gotten us into trouble for the last month or so. And I don't like that at all. And I know you all don't like that either. Like, we've gone away from that dash and that dare. And then in that last quarter, like Pendle said after the game to Fox Footy, he said, I was more at ease in the fourth quarter because we took the shackles off and we played that fast, chaotic sort of football. And that's when we looked our best, when we're becoming unpredictable for the opposition, but predictable for us because we know what we were doing. The kick and mark game was just kick and mark down the line. We lose a contest. It comes right back out. I feel like we did outplay Melbourne for the majority of the game, but they were able to get better looks at it when they went up forward because we did look a little bit shaky. And especially, again, losing Jeremy Howe. This is the 4th time in a row that he's been subbed out. Hasn't played a full game since round 17. Looks like an adductor or a groin. I think it's an adductor issue. So we won't know until scans come out. Definitely will be missing that first week, you would think, unless it's minor. But he did say that he felt a pop. So, we're waiting to see about that. But for the most part, the Pies didn't really flourish until that last quarter when it was like, hang on a second, we actually need to win this game. Like, what are we doing? Let's crank it up into 4th gear, break those shackles and absolutely go for it. And when we went for it, we looked incredible. We had 50 inside 50s for 27 scoring shots, 11 goals, 16. And it's just typical Collingwood at the moment. We couldn't buy a goal if our life depended on it. Hit the post, or Jamie hit the post twice. And we were just fluffing chances, but we were getting chances. And the thing is, when we were getting those chances, we were looking good and we're getting ourselves into good positions. We just couldn't finish the job, and that's evident by 11 goals, 16. It wasn't the 70 entries that we had against Adelaide, but it was still up there. But where our main scoring came from was intercepts. We scored 50 points off intercepting Melbourne's possessions, and that was a big proponent of our game for the majority of the season. We've strayed away from it a little bit. We did a lot more front half work as well this game. So there was a lot of learnings to come out of this game, and we did look good for the most part. And I'm glad to see that our intercept game has come back. So that is one absolutely huge thing. In that last quarter, Collingwood and Melbourne had 14 inside 50s. A piece. We scored 4 goals, 3. Melbourne scored 1 goal, 5 or something like that. So they missed a lot of chances. And when I got home, I watched the last quarter again, and especially in those last few minutes, probably from about the 6 or 7 minute mark, there were lots of things to like. We were defending like our lives depended on it, and which they really did depend on it. And it reminded me of the finals against the Giants and the final against, ironically or coincidentally, Melbourne, where we had to just keep defending and we looked good doing it. There was efforts, that Darcy Cameron tackle, that Billy Frampton stood really well up. Scott Pendlebury had an incredible last quarter. I think he had 8 disposals, went at 100% efficiency, 2 intercept marks in that last quarter as well. But what I liked from Pendlebury, and I told myself, hey, Luke, take notes in on your phone for this game, and then you can say them. I took one note. That one note said, keep Pendles as the quarterback. I've been calling for Pendles to be one of our quarterbacks for so long, not a run and gun half backer, but we put him back into the defense. He laid a really good tackle on Clayton Oliver. Got paid holding the ball, but the use of the ball, like, why not put your best user of the football? Kind of like the same argument pulling Nick back into that back line as well. The best user of the football, knowing where to go, and at 100% disposal efficiency, that's huge. He had plus 50 ranking points in that last quarter as well, according to Champion Data. He had a really good last quarter, and I don't mind seeing that. I loved seeing Dan Houston on the wing as well. I didn't get a lot of the ball, but I love seeing Dan Houston on the wing. I thought Nick was brilliant as well. But then, we just talked about our defenders. Isaac Quaynor really stood up. Darcy Moore stood up. You go on the flip side, Lockie Schultz, 2 goals in that last quarter when we needed him. Ned Long, who had an okay game, was thereabouts, kicked an incredible goal from the boundary. Dan McStay, after a pretty low game, stands up, took a good mark, kicked a nice goal. It was these players who were, maligned a little bit for the last couple of years, really, really stood up, and I loved Lockie Schultz. But tonight, Jordan De Goey was in absolute beast mode, and we'll get into these players and the stats a little bit more in Swoop standouts later on tonight, because it was just, there's so much to talk about. But Jordan De Goey, dare I say 2023 form a little bit? He looked like an absolute beast, just coming out of the middle. The don't argues, just that big body. I didn't think we would get this Geordie for a while, but he has, gone right up there, leading into finals. And this is when you want, obviously, to be playing your best football. But I thought Jordan De Goey was absolutely fantastic today. And it gives you a glimpse of what a finals Jordan De Goey is going to look like. Now, the biggest thing to sort of come out of this game was the game plan, right? The stagnation sort of game plan, really slow game plan, just doesn't work. There were a couple of times where we would get the ball maybe on the edge of 50 and just take so long to bomb it in or just go in. Because what would happen is we'd get the ball on the edge of 50 or thereabouts, let's say 55, 60 meters, take a while, all of the Melbourne defenders flood back, and then we kick it long anyway to, a 7 on 7 because everyone's flying up for the ball. If you're going to bomb it in anyway, bomb it in quicker so there's less of the defenders there and let our smalls get to work, So that was one thing. And you release the shackles and then you go. So why can't we just play like that from the start, especially in a game like today where we needed that percentage boost? So that really rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. The second thing is that injury to Jeremy Howe. Who comes in to replace him, if he is going to be out for that first final? Are you bringing in someone like Charlie Dean who can play a third or fourth defender, so that way you can let Darcy Moore play his natural role? You can let Billy Frampton play that role down back where he's that big brick. Or do you persist with like Perryman, Maynard, Quaynor? Because we saw Perryman get monstered by Fogarty last week, and I loved Perryman's game today. So there's a couple of contentious things around the injuries, and we don't have defenders. This is why we're going after Jack Silvani, so it all makes sense. Hopefully, Bo's okay with that stamp on his foot, and Mychik look okay with that hand injury, but we'll know more once the scans get cleared. But the Pies stood up when it mattered most. They left it to the last minute, but that doesn't matter. We got top four locked in, and now it is either a home final, because we'll be playing Geelong anyway at the MCG, or we'll be going up to Adelaide. And I kind of want Adelaide, to be honest. What this game showed me is that Collingwood, they're a weird one, aren't they? Teams have kind of worked us out, but then we go back to the Collingwood from about 12 weeks ago, 10, 12 weeks ago, and then we look good. So I think, I don't know, I still want to keep telling myself that we're holding back a little bit. We're holding back, waiting for finals. We qualified really, really early. After that Carlton win, we were pretty much playing finals. We were 10 points clear. We're changing all this sort of stuff, all the magnets and stuff. We know the story. We rested on our laurels a lot. It came down to the last game of the season. I've said it multiple times. If you have to rely on other teams, you haven't done enough. We evidently haven't done enough, but we are locked in, so we do have that double chance, which is absolutely huge. And the fact of the matter is, 3 more wins and we're premiers. That's how easy. I say that's how easy it is. I mean, 3 more wins, it's easy. We have to win 4 games in a row this game, and then 3 more if we want to be premiers. 1 win gets us into the prelim, a win again gets us into a grand final, and a win again gets us a flag. So there's going to be a lot to think about in the 2 weeks. There's that bye week, which will help Howie, help freshen the old legs of really everyone. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that Bobby can put in 2 weeks worth of absolutely hard work. Because he told Fly, leave the door open for me. If he can get his high performance, running and working, maybe there is a chance that we see Bobby Hill in that first final, because that would change the dynamic of this team just tenfold. But get to AFLW on Saturday, which is today, and get to the VFL wildcard round against Williamstown on Sunday, because that's going to be big. We'll see how Cox, Mitchell, Will Hoskin Elliott, Parker, Allen, and a couple of the other guys will go in that game. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.